Hey guys, Ryan DeMent from Chasing Financial Freedom Podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today on the podcast, we have Zach Ullman. His header from Podmatch, where we met, is Learn and Grow Rich. But I want to give just a little bit more background on Zach. So he was raised in Indiana on a farm with big dreams and an entrepreneurial spirit. Zach is a master of transformation, a seasoned valuation consultant, and a visionary in real estate investing. So we've got a lot to talk about there. So Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
You're more than welcome. I know it's a little bit of a wait, so thank you for coming on. And I know we briefly spoke before we started recording. You are in South America right now.
I am in the beautiful country of Colombia, Medellin, Colombia.
Nice. And have you been, I'm assuming you've been there before, but how is it compared to living anywhere else in the world? Is it in your top 5, top 10?
It is my top 1. And
Wow, okay. We're hitting a home
so
run.
right, yeah, so I when COVID started, this was our first country because it was about 4 years ago, it was the only country that was open. So we came down here, we heard a lot of people's opinions of it, and we came down here, it was nothing like I had in my mind, and so we lived here for about 4 months, and then we traveled the world. We kept moving to place. So I've lived in about 24 countries over the last 4 years, and we checked off my bucket list in Bali and Thailand, and I was over in Bali. We were there for 6 months, and I just got smoked by the time change because we were still running our business out of the US, and I looked at my wife and I said, "I can't do this anymore. We need to go back to that side of the world." And she goes, "Where do we wanna go?" And our favorite place was Medellin, Colombia. So I've been here for a year, and I haven't just
Are you permanently gonna stay?
yeah, we're gonna buy a house here, and then we're gonna start a farm. So I want a farm.
Nice.
Yeah.
No intentions coming back to the States again.
Not for living, I don't see it. My wife's from Puerto Rico, so we have a house in Arizona, we have a house private residence in Puerto Rico, and we're gonna buy some houses here, and then we have some investment properties. So, definitely buying investment properties in the United States. I love the adventure of South America. You got the Amazon, you got all of these small little villages everywhere, and I love motorcycle adventure riding, and so it's perfect for down here.
Nice. And I don't remember if we spoke about it. Do you have kids?
We don't. So, we don't
Okay.
have kids, and we don't have, plan to have kids either.
That's an interesting way to start this podcast. That's pretty cool. So we'll have to talk a little bit more about that, but we brought you on because of your entrepreneurial background in real estate. So can you tell listeners about a little bit about yourself and we'll get into what you're doing?
Yeah, so I started, life on a farm in Indiana and had no intentions of doing anything other than that, and then reality set in when I graduated high school, and what am I gonna do with my life? And money was always an issue, so I said, "You know what? I'm gonna master money." So I went to school for finance and business, graduated at the top of my class from IU and that, right in 2008. If you guys remember 2008,
Perfect
that was
timing.
perfect timing. So I was competing against Morgan Stanley and Lehman Brothers and all these beautiful, brilliant people that had years of experience, and I just was a fresh college grad. Thought I graduated at the top of my class, but that looking back, that doesn't mean much, right? When you don't have experience. And so I worked for 2 years for free for a real estate broker and for a down at Chicago Board of Trade. And then I got a job working for a valuation consultant, which I had no idea even what that was. And so I learned how to value illiquid, non-marketable private assets, which is a very tough industry to understand, but it has really helped me today. And then I got a job working for one of the best companies in the world, became a published author in the world of M&A, valuation, things like that. And then I quit and started doing real estate and grew a real estate community to over 1,000 people, weekly calls, daily calls, and became sat on a board for a real estate investing education company of 30,000 people. And I spent about 15 years doing that. And over the last couple of years, we have transitioned to starting, scaling, selling businesses, and then reinvesting that money back into real estate and teaching people how to do the same.
That's cool. You've gone the gamut. You've gone from I'm going to do a traditional route to all the way to something that is really non-traditional. You're outside the box, which is I like that. So there's a lot of questions to be asked. So the first question I have to ask, we talked about it earlier, is when you're in a foreign country, how difficult is it to do business back in the States?
It If you're set up, it's easy. And so, what the question is, what does setup look like? And so all of my staff is remote. And so I went from running so my business model was masterminds. So we would
Mhm.
have 2 to 300 people every Wednesday night and 50 to 120 people every Saturday. So we do a mastermind and I'd rent out a big office space every Wednesday. We would have all the different, I call them strategies. So we'd have cash flow, the fix and flippers and the wholesalers. I had a distressed notes and short-term rentals. And so we would mastermind on Wednesday night. And then every Saturday we'd go out to a live investment property tour. And that just got totally one week we were doing it, the next week we weren't during COVID. And so I moved everything online via Zoom. And I was just sitting in my apartment one day in Phoenix, Arizona, and looked over at my wife and I was like, "Honey, we don't have to be here. We should travel." And that was the start of it. And my coach, I have a high performance coach, and she really helped me do the thinking through it. And we went to Hawaii for 4 months, and that was beautiful. The challenge was it was Hawaii, and I had to wake up at 4 a.m. to do my calls. And once we got that part figured out, the biggest thing is high-speed internet, making sure it's reliable internet, reliable power. Outside of that, it's just like being on Zoom from anywhere in the world.
So it sounds like we're gonna have a good conversation around systems and also having the right people in place. From where you're at today, it sounds like you've got a pretty solid internet connection, so that's good.
Yep.
So the other piece of it is you said all your people are remote. Are they like virtual assistants?
Yeah, so we call them virtual team members, and so I have operations managers, I have, CPAs, so I've created a business model, it's called FOSSM, Finance, Operations, Sales, and Marketing. And that's how we scale businesses. And so what I do now is I used to sell a $20,000 mastermind for real estate that helped people either get into real estate or advance their real estate career. And what I saw in that was it's challenging, right? It's super challenging to start a business, super challenging to do anything new. And so what I do today is I give it all away. So I give all my education away for free forever. We give our software away for our finance software. We give our masterminds away. We have about 3 masterminds we give away. And then what I do today is I just do it for people. And so because it was really stressful for me for 15 years to teach people how to do it for themselves, and I just didn't want that anxiety, I didn't want that obligation, and
Mhm.
so I just give it away now, and I help people. We have entry level masterminds for $97, so there's not like this huge $20,000 exchange, and now this huge obligation on me to help them get somewhere. And then what I do is I work with people that, can afford me, and I just do it for them. And so I'm doing their we do fractional CFO, we do bookkeeping, we do tax strategies, we do tax filings. We help them buy and sell businesses, we help them buy and sell real estate, and then I have a full service operation, sales, and marketing, business model that we implement using the EOS model. And so we can come in to any business, service-based business, and put our model and really get everything in order.
Nice. So I gotta ask Johnny Obvious, how do you do that remotely?
Just through Zoom. It's really not that hard. Let me rephrase that. It's incredibly hard, but once you figure it out, it's not that hard. Right, when you've been doing it for 20 years, you forget what hard is. And so, the biggest thing is just sharing the vision. So, my team I have everything planned out. We have a 10-year vision. We have a 5-year plan. We have everything. If you guys have ever heard of EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, we use that framework. And so what's great about this is everything we do is the same. And so I wanted the idea like if you go to McDonald's in Thailand versus McDonald's in New York and you order a Big Mac, you're getting a Big Mac. You know what you're getting. And so everyone that comes through us as a client, we take them through the first phase. It's called finance. Are your books in order? What's your tax structure look like? Are you ready to actually go to the next stage? Are you making money? How are you making money? And then we take them through operations. And so it's very systematic. I've boiled it down to a very systematic approach process. And so as we're doing this, we just hop on Zoom. We understand people's business. We interview them. We create a strategic plan, a budget, and a plan. And then we just execute on the plan.
So your clients don't need to they don't feel like a need that they need to be in person to be able to
No,
have that communication and connection?
no. In this day and age, it's a lot of the companies that So I do a lot of service-based companies, and I have a company that's doing about $2 million. They're virtual assistants. Another company that we have, they do virtual team members for tech companies. So all these, because they're all outsourced already, so it's just another day in the office for them. And the other thing is the value that I bring. So you guys ever heard of a McKinsey and Company,
Mhm.
Deloitte? That's the level of consulting I used to do. And so I do that for service-based companies 10 million and below. And so I can bring that level of planning and execution at a rate that competes with most people just doing books and taxes. And so the geographical location that most people, if they have to go in there, they're not going to have talent like I have talent. I have some beautiful talent from all over the world, and because of that, I can deliver it extremely a very discounted price compared to your typical consultants that come in there, and so what I lack in physical location, I more than make up in value.
Like it. It's a different approach, but also the same time as your value is broad. It's just I'm gonna back up and ask a loaded question, but I wanna
Yeah.
be able to have a deeper discussion. So some of our listeners are entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people that are working full-time jobs. What about if they're wanting to start a business remotely? What would be 3 nuggets you could share with them to be able to get everything off the ground and moving forward?
So this is what I've seen over the years, and I fell into it myself. Don't quit your job. I actually just read a study or, heard a study yesterday that said, you have a 33% higher probability of succeeding if you don't quit your job and you do it on the side. Because I quit my job. I was making 6 figures, 27 years old, dream company, had everything going for me. And I got in this mindset of, oh, a job is bad. Right. And the reality is it wasn't. It was incredibly helpful to me. I just didn't know how to use it to get to where I wanted. And so what I tell people today is I say, develop a skill set in your job. And so mine was finance. Mine was mergers and acquisitions, doing 300-page reports and financial modeling. And I understand finance at a level that most people can't even comprehend because I used to have to build the financial models. And so I took that skill set. And so that's the cash flow quadrant. Are you familiar with that? Robert
No.
Kiyosaki. So it talks about there's 4 different ways to make money: W-2, self-employed, business owner, and investor. And a lot of people want to be business owners, investors, but they don't understand what that means. And so I've broken it out into a framework. And a job is where you develop your skill set. Self employed is where you sell the skill set that you developed yourself in. Business owner is the systematization of the selling of
Mm.
the skill set. And what I see, right? And then investor is investing the money that you've made in either one of those. And so you can become an investor from job, you can become an investor from self-employed, you can become an investor from business owner. But what I see is people develop themselves in a skill set, let's say finance and accounting for me, right? And then we go and we jump over to real estate, business, and we don't know the skill set, and we don't know how to sell, and we don't know how to systematize. And then we're confronted with reality. And so what I would say is develop yourself in a skill set, learn to sell that skill set, and then learn to systematize it. And that is the easiest way. And obviously, and I would say you need to be inspired by what you do. I'm inspired every day by what I do. There's some things I don't like. Guess what? We still got to do it. But if you want to live an inspired life, you got to be inspired by it. And in as simple as context. And so you can wrap an empowering context around anything. It's like mindset, all of that. But that's one of the biggest things I see that people they spend 15, 20, 30 years in developing a skill set, and then they go start a quote unquote business and they don't know how to sell and they pick some random skill set that they've not developed themselves in, and that's why they fail.
How do we overcoming that one, but 2, like you said, there's, I think you actually I'm not gonna sure use your word, but did you say purpose is what you really wanna have?
That's a great way. Purpose. Purpose. Yeah. And so I have my purpose is to empower people to live an amazing life in all aspects of their life. And in order to do that, I need to know where they're at, where they're going, what their finances are. And that's how I fulfill on that. I help them create a plan and then I help them get there. Most people, Ryan, don't know what they want. They want
They don't.
they want
It's a
they want
struggle.
10
Yeah.
grand and time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, what are you gonna spend that 10 grand on?" And they just look at me in a blank stare. I've never
Right.
had and so I've had people down outright cry, Ryan, when I go, "What do you want?" They're like, "I don't know, I've never been asked that question." 40, 50-year-old people, they've never been asked, "What do you want?" And that's another one of the challenges is I cannot build a map or build a plan to nowhere. Like, I need to know what you want. And I'm a I everything we do is plans and budgets. Everything we do is a plan and a budget. And so it's like, how can I create a plan and a budget when you don't even know where you wanna go? And so that's a real confronting conversation for people.
And it's tough because when I left corporate America after 25 years, corporate America never taught me how to be I call myself a fisherman. Never
Right,
taught me how to go out and get the food, bring it in, and eat. I got a paycheck every other week, got a bonus at the end of the year, got stock options, and so forth. It never taught me to be a true fisherman to where if I don't go out and catch my food, I don't eat.
right,
And I would say the first several years, 2 to 3 years of doing this full time as an entrepreneur in the real estate space, in the affordable housing space of all places, I sucked and I struggled. And there was times where I thought I was gonna lose everything. But once you got vision, purpose, passion
mhm,
also in there, and the other thing that I learned was corporate America never taught me how to be strong and not give up. I learned how to be strong, get knocked down, get back up. And it was okay to have that pity party for a moment to say, "Okay, I screwed up or something happened," but you get up and you learn from it, and then you apply those learnings to your next whatever you're working on, and
right.
that just allowed me to start being consistent and persistent, and those 2 words that I use daily is, if I'm not consistently doing something and I'm not being persistent about it, I'm not gonna accomplish what I'm setting myself out to do, but also how am I going to run a business if I'm not doing the things that are needed to move it to the next level or whatever the case we're working on. And I think in this day and age, and I'm gonna be quiet after this, is we use social and technology as crutches for tools. They're great, but at the same time, you have to put the time and effort into them to make sure you know what you're doing. Like these
Right.
viral posts, these kids that wanna post something out that I'll talk to on social media, and they're like, "Look at your channels." Let me tell you, it's been 8 years that I've been doing this on social media, and I'm just now starting to get traction on both my podcasts, on my YouTube channels. 8 years. If you're not willing
Right.
to put that time in, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it could have been shorter, but that's my learning span. That's what I've done.
And people ask me, it was like, "How long did it take you?" I'm like, "I'm 39 years old, so it's taken me 39 years."
Yeah.
Like, it it isn't like we started one day. It's a combination of our life experiences. And so, growing up on a farm, that was getting developed for something. I was getting developed in hard work, doing what I said, integrity, learning determination and grit.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I went to
For
school,
sure.
I got developed in the actual numbers of it. When I worked at the Chicago Board of Trade and I cold called for a year straight with no sales,
Oh,
a year straight with no sales. And I was probably the most socially awkward person you could ever see. I would sweat when I talked to people. I'd break out. My mind would go blank. And I wasn't a people person. And I was like, okay, I got to get developed in that. Go buy another course, go buy another program, invest in myself, grow. And it's taken me from the moment I said I wanted this life, travel the world, help people, and make money. Those were the three mantras I've been saying since I was about 16 years old. It took me about 16 years to accomplish it, like 16 years. And I really didn't start seeing the quote unquote financial fruits of my labor till about 5 years ago.
yeah.
And that's when we started making really great money. And today I make enough money to do whatever I want. And that's another thing that I really stress to people. I say, what is your number? And I call it your dream life number. So it's a combination of I take my clients through what's your dream day look like and how much does it cost? What's your adventure list look like and how much does it cost? And what's your just regular monthly budget? What is it and what does it cost? And then now I have a number so you know when to stop. Because most people don't know when they stop and they just keep working for the sake of working and not enjoying life. I enjoy life today and I still work because I love work. and I'm go on motorcycle rides, I go hang out with tribes, I travel, I really get to enjoy that, but it's an act of creation, and it's absolutely intentional.
You've gotta be intentional. I love that what you're saying is being intentional about what you're doing, but the hard work is where it really pays off, and I know that's an old adage. I'm a little bit older than you, but you've gotta put your time and effort in. Doesn't mean you have to beat your head up against the wall. I like what you said about you were calling for a year with no sales, but you continued to progress yourself by taking courses or reading or whatever the case is. You put the time and effort in to actually win. It
Right.
just took longer than you thought or you felt or whatever the case is, and most people don't see it that way. If you don't how are you supposed to be good at anything if you don't actually learn, put the time and effort in, educate yourself, whatever the case is? You just expect to roll up and you're gonna have a $150,000 job.
I
I don't
think
know many places you can get that.
I had that, like, misconception when I first started because I didn't know what right? I didn't know because I was like, "Okay, hey, I understand finance, I graduated at the top of my class, I'm a hard worker," and I was offering to work for free, and people weren't taking me. I was like, "Why?" Today, I totally get it. I totally get the liability of a new person, right? And it's so what I try to do is just give people realistic expectations. And I tell people, I say, "If you follow me and my frameworks, there's no reason you can't live the life of your dreams in 5 years or less." Like, you could know nothing and spend the first 2 years developing yourself in a skill set, still make nothing for the first 2 years. The first year, develop yourself in the skill set. The second year, develop yourself into online marketing. The third year, start selling a $97 a month course. Sell 2 of them. I've done the numbers, 2 of them a month, and by the end of 5 years, you're making 10 grand a month.
Yeah,
That's so simple when you just but the problem is they won't stay in the game long enough.
correct. It's too painful, and that's where purpose and passion comes into play because
Right.
initially they were in the game for money. And
Right,
if it's not a purpose or passion, it's tough. I in the affordable housing space, workforce housing, whatever you wanna call it, it sucks at times, but it's a
right,
passion because I get to help people that I truly wanna help, veterans, first-time home buyers, people that have been on Section 8 rent all their life and never thought they could buy a house. Those are all motivational factors for me that I stay in the game, which keeps
right.
me going but also keeps me wanting to do more and learn more to push myself to the next level. Because the next thing we're doing, and we've been doing it for a while, but is private notes. Somebody can't buy one of our properties we develop. We have the ability to do a private note, get it funded just like a traditional mortgage does through an underwriter, and then we can fund it in the secondary market. But then it gives these home buyers an option to be able to buy a home when they really didn't think they could. And it's somewhat game changing for them, but also at the same time, it's also game changing for us because I get to learn a whole nother aspect of the business.
Yeah, and so I agree with that. I did it for the money when I first got it, and I'm just like, "This is I'm done. This is not worth it." And I've been through so many challenges, money stolen from me. I've been locked out of my entire businesses. I had a business partner that ran all the tech, and I just came in one day and he goes, "Zach, I'm taking it all." I'm like, What?" Because he owed me a bunch of money, and he held it hostage, and it was just like, you deal with the reality of the world, and the reality of humans, and the reality of lacks of integrities, like, a little lack of integrity below could, like, just take you down if you don't deal with it, and so what I've learned over the years, I was this soft, very mild guy that let everyone walk all over him, and today, I'm still learning. And, I've learned to have a backbone, I've learned to stand up for myself, and I've also learned to hand over everything. I have, operations chief COO that just runs everything today, and so what I've done is I've created the plan, and she implements the plan. And obviously, I'm still here as CEO, but she has a backbone, and she doesn't let anyone walk over her. She's Colombian, she lives 15 minutes from me, and she runs a tighter ship than I can ever do, but I know that about myself, right? And so I put the right people in the right place.
Yeah, you've got to do that. We're getting to the bottom of the hour here to get everything wrapped up. Couple questions. I know you said you're giving away all of your courses and so forth, but are you working with new clients?
Yeah, so we take done for you clients, absolutely. So we yeah, again, that's in the we start with finance, so we do bookkeeping, strategic planning. What I do is I come in, I create a 5-year plan because I can't and this is what I've seen because I've hired a lot of third party marketing and sales and all I've hired third party everything. And no one ever operates against a plan. All they try to do is, okay, let's get your Facebook ads going. I'm like, okay, oh, cool. Or let's do this or let's do that. And so when I come in is I say, okay, what's your vision? And then we create a 5-year plan, right? We create a 10-year vision, a 5-year plan. And then we actually break it down to 3 years and then 1 year and then Q4, Q3, Q2, Q1. These are the things we use the EOS framework. These are the things you need to do. And then if they need help with operations, sales, or marketing, we have a full service business development team that do all of those. But finance and that strategic plan is everything. It tells us where we're what we need to do and where we need to go. And so if you're operating without that, you're just you will burn out. I promise you.
Best place for somebody to reach out to you if they wanna connect and work with you?
Just go into my free school community, learnandgrowrich.net. I give everything away there. You can schedule a free call with my team, and if you're ready for me, they'll put you on a call with me absolutely free.
Cool. I will put that in the show notes. So thank you, sir, for coming on. Love what you're doing. Really cool that you're all over the country or all over the country, all over the world, and you're still building a business on a daily basis. And you've got passion, purpose, and you're happy.
Passion, purpose, and profits. And peace of
Passion,
mind.
perfect,
Add
and
another P in
profits.
there, right? Peace of mind.
Yes, and
Yeah.
peace of mind. So thank you for coming on. I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. Will you celebrate Thanksgiving where you're from, where you're at today, or no?
Yeah, so I'm actually it's funny, we have a wedding this Saturday, so I'm gonna be riding a motorcycle from Medellin, Colombia to Barranquilla, the coast. It's a
Oh,
13-hour motorcycle ride that
whoa,
that's what I'm doing on Thanksgiving. So it's, my wife is flying. It's an hour flight, and so I wanna ride my motorcycle, so that's a great day to ride a motorcycle.
that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I hope you have a great trip and stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
You're welcome.